It was a cold winter night in Chicago. The kind of night where the wind cuts through your jacket and people hurry home without looking at anyone else. Inside a small roadside diner, a tired waitress named Emily Carter wiped down the last table of her shift. She was exhausted. Her feet hurt, her rent was overdue, and life hadn't been kind lately. Then the door opened. A man walked in. His coat was torn. His beard was messy. His eyes looked tired and hopeless. He was homeless. Most people in the diner immediately looked away. But what Emily did next would change both of their lives forever. Emily Carter was 29 years old. She had moved to Chicago chasing a simple dream, a stable life and a small apartment of her own. But reality was different. Her father had passed away 2 years earlier. Her mother lived in a nursing home. And Emily worked double shifts at Maple Street Diner just to survive. Most nights she returned to her tiny apartment too tired to even cook dinner. But despite everything, Emily had one thing most people didn't. Kindness. The homeless man stepped slowly inside the diner. Customers whispered. One man muttered under his breath. Great, now this place lets anyone in. The homeless man walked to the counter but didn't sit down. Instead, he quietly asked. Excuse me, do you have any leftovers, anything you were going to throw away? The diner went silent. The manager frowned from across the room. Sir, this is a restaurant, not a shelter. The man nodded politely. I understand. I just thought I'd ask. He turned to leave. That's when Emily spoke. Wait. Emily walked up to the counter and looked at the man. Up close, she noticed something strange. Despite his appearance, he spoke politely. He looked educated. Almost dignified. Emily asked softly. When was the last time you ate? The man hesitated. Yesterday morning. Emily didn't say anything. She walked back to the kitchen. 5 minutes later, she returned with a full plate. Steak. Eggs. Toast. Not leftovers. A real meal. The manager stormed over immediately. Emily. What are you doing? Emily calmly replied. I'm paying for it. She pulled out the little cash she had in her wallet. It was almost all the tip money she made that day. The homeless man looked shocked. You don't have to do that, he said quietly. Emily smiled. I know. Then she slid the plate toward him. Everyone deserves to eat. The man sat down slowly. For the first time in days, he ate. But he didn't eat like someone desperate. He ate slowly. Carefully. Like someone who had once lived a very different life. After finishing the meal, he looked at Emily and said, Why did you help me? Emily shrugged. My dad used to say something. What? She smiled. Kindness always comes back. The man nodded thoughtfully. Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small notebook. He wrote something down. Emily laughed. Writing a review? The man smiled slightly. Something like that. Before leaving, he said something strange. Emily Carter. I won't forget this. And then he walked out into the cold night. Emily never saw him again. Or so she thought. Before we continue the story, if you enjoy emotional stories like this that restore your faith in humanity, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because the story you're hearing right now is only getting started. Years passed. Emily kept working at the diner. Life slowly improved. She was promoted to senior waitress. But financially, things were still difficult. Then one day, everything changed. A letter arrived at the diner. It wasn't addressed to the manager. It wasn't addressed to the restaurant. It was addressed to one person. Emily Carter. Emily opened the envelope during her break. Inside was a formal invitation. It read, Emily Carter. You are cordially invited to attend the grand opening of the Harrison Foundation Community Center this Friday evening. She frowned. She didn't know any Harrison. She assumed it was a mistake. But at the bottom of the letter, there was a handwritten note. Kindness always comes back. Emily froze. Those words. She had said them once before. Years ago. To a homeless man. Friday night arrived. Emily almost didn't go. But curiosity won. She borrowed a simple dress from a friend and arrived at the large new community center downtown. Luxury cars filled the parking lot. Business leaders. Local politicians. Reporters. Emily felt completely out of place. Then suddenly, the room went quiet. A tall man in an elegant suit walked onto the stage. Confident. Successful. Powerful. But when Emily looked closely, her heart skipped. She recognized those eyes. It was him. The homeless man. The man stepped up to the microphone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Harrison. He paused. 7 years ago. I lost everything. My company collapsed. My partners betrayed me. I became homeless. The audience looked shocked. I spent months living on the streets, invisible to the world. Then he smiled. But one night, a waitress at a small diner treated me like a human being. He looked directly at Emily in the crowd. And that moment changed everything. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Daniel continued. That meal gave me something I had lost. Hope. Soon after, I found a way to rebuild my life. I started again from nothing. And today, my new company funds shelters, job programs, and community centers across the country. The crowd applauded. But Daniel wasn't finished. Daniel stepped off the stage. He walked through the crowd. Right toward Emily. The entire room watched. He stopped in front of her. Emily Carter. She nodded nervously. Daniel smiled warmly. You once spent your entire day's tips to feed a stranger. Emily laughed softly. It was just a meal. Daniel shook his head. No. It was dignity. He handed her a folder. Emily opened it slowly. Inside was a document. Her hand started shaking. It was a property deed. For what? She asked. Daniel smiled. For the new restaurant we're opening inside this community center. The crowd gasped. You're not the waitress anymore, Daniel said. You're the owner. Emily couldn't speak. Tears rolled down her face. Why me? She whispered. Daniel answered simply. Because kindness should never go unrewarded. And because the world needs more people like you. The room erupted in applause. But Emily wasn't thinking about the crowd. She was remembering that cold winter night. One simple act. One small decision. A meal that cost her almost everything she had. And somehow, it came back in a way she never imagined. The truth is, most people think kindness is small. But sometimes, one moment of compassion can change an entire life. Maybe even two. If this story touched your heart, take a second and like this video. And share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. Because you never know. The person you help today might change your life tomorrow. And if you enjoy powerful emotional stories like this, subscribe to the channel for more stories that remind us what it means to be human. We'll see you in the next story.